ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। Hare Krishna. So we'll continue our discussion. So Prithu Maharaj is trying to get instructions from Kumaras, and they're trying to help him understand the uh, uh, process of self-realization. There is some inclination for jnana also. This is because they are Kumaras. So they are trying to help him in terms of jnana also. So here we'll see that, uh, mm, and that is actually a proper, correct path also, because it is helping a living entity realize Brahman. So we get Brahman realization. And very important is that uh, one of the important instructions we need to follow is uh, we have to accept, even like what do you say, quantum mechanics. Even that also is talking about Brahman realization. Of course, they are taking it in a very complicated way, but it is also Brahman realization only to some extent. What Shankaracharya explained in a simple way, these people are explaining in a very complicated way. That's the only difference. But otherwise, it is also very much talking about that. And we all have to, means they are getting that level of realization, fortunately. And I wanted to clarify certain things in our discussion. So, just yesterday, some very important, very nice topics. What is it that Kumaras are covering? So, we'll just take that point. How the mind is creating all the desires, and then the function of ego comes. So the ego is like Dhritarashtra, the nice example. See, what happens is he's cheating himself. What is the difference between dharma and adharma? Only adherence to the shastra. Now Dhritarashtra, he is first trying to lie to himself. When we lie to ourselves, then we start hating ourselves. When we hate ourselves, then we hate everyone. And that is Dhritarashtra. So he is hating everyone. The reason is because he is lying to himself. We need to come out of this tendency. So when such great personalities, he believes in God, but he does not believe Krishna as God. That is the problem. Why he says? Because Krishna is partial. He feels. He says he's supporting the Pandavas. He's supporting them. He's not supporting my children. That's why he's partial. How can God be partial? So that is his argument. And that is not correct actually. Krishna is supporting whoever is righteous. Krishna is not partial. He's not supporting Pandavas. He's supporting whoever is going on the right path. But somehow the Dhritarashtra feels, of course, he is lying to himself. Such great personalities, Vidura, Vyasdev, everybody is trying to help him. He is not understanding. So this is the point, that we have to accept the reality and try to live according to the reality. And here we see that uh, Prithu Maharaj, he is ready to accept. It's actually very difficult to accept reality. So some nice points from the purport. I actually went very fast yesterday, but I thought I will just again take this points, because it's a very nice thing to remember. If we remember this in this way, when in future it will help. Just yeah. So this I explained about how chitta, man, ahankar, and same thing we cut in the purport also, where Kumaras are telling, when a person becomes devoid of all material desires and liberated from all material qualities, he transcends distinction between action executed externally and internally. So that is understandable. When a soul exists for sense gratification, he creates different desires. So this is what we are discussing. He creates different desires, and for that reason, he becomes subjected to designations. So only when we have desires, then only designations. Otherwise, no designations. We are having so many desires. That's why we are creating. Like we start thinking, okay, I am beautiful. I want to be beautiful. So then we start identifying and we start behaving in a particular way, start applying certain things, and want to become more and more beautiful. And then we want people should also identify me as beautiful because I have a desire like that. I want to be identified as a rich person. I want to be identified as a good preacher. So we have a desire, and that is also giving an identity. So then we become subjected to designation. Then false ego comes. Like here we saw this cycle. Here I explained. So when we see a sense object, then the sense object, it goes to the chitta and forms the shape, and then manas gives the understanding I like, I don't like. Then only ahankara comes. Ahankara says I want. First comes I like, then comes I want. So ahankara is after this. So ahankara is like designation. So designations are coming, but when one is in the transcendental position, he is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires of the Lord. So he is in the transcendental position. He is no longer interested in anything except fulfilling the desires. So this is the first part. Second thing is this: only because of different causes does a person see a difference between himself and others. Just as one sees the reflection of body appearing differently manifested on water, on oil, or in a mirror. So because of different causes, person sees a difference between himself and others. So as such, we are all spirit souls. Now I am saying he is rich, he is poor, he is good, he is bad. All these things is because of my own state of consciousness. And here, that's why first thing Prabhupada is trying to prove that all living entities are expansions of Lord. And Swamsha and Vibhinnamsha, we are manifested. So in this way, for different reasons, there are different expansions of Supreme Lord. This understanding is real knowledge. So for Supreme Lord, different. First there is Lord, then there is Chaturvyuha. So in the spiritual world, Chaturvyuha, Vasudev and is manifested in within Krishna, and Balram is Sankarshan, and Aniruddha and Pradyumna are not manifested in Goloka. But when it comes to Dwaraka, then Krishna manifests Vasudeva, and there is Balram Sankarshana, and Pradyumna and Aniruddha are there as Krishna's children. So Krishna, the expansions are to, that's what here, different incarnations are Swamshans. There are different potencies of Lord, and there are different expansions of different potencies. So Lord has many potencies. When it comes to Krishna, all potencies are within Krishna, so they don't expand. There is no Chaturvyuha in Golokundavan. Of course, Balram is there. But when it comes to Dwaraka, there is different potencies are manifested. Now, in this way, for different reasons. So then when comes Mahavaikuntha, where Narayana is there. Again, there are four Chaturvyuhas are there. Sankarsana, Pradyumna. And their expansions comes as, first comes as Mahavishnu, who is Sankarshan. Then, so then comes the Garbhodakshay Vishnu and Kshirodakshay Vishnu. So then there is Aniruddha, who is a manifestation of Garbhodakshay Vishnu. Then there is Pradyumna for the Kshirodakshay Vishnu. Like then also the expansions further, of course, they represents Man, Buddhi, and Ahankar, because Sankarshan, Veshti and Sameshti. So Sameshti is Sankarshan and Veshti is Lord Shiva. So like that we have different expansions of the different expansions of Chitta is Vasudev, Ahankar is Sankarshan, Buddhi is Aniruddha, Man is Pradyumna. Sorry, Man is Aniruddha, Pradyumna is Buddhi, Aniruddha is Manas. And their expansions is Brahma, and here is the expansions Rudra is expansion of Ahankara, Sveshti and Samishti. So for whole everything is Sankarshan. So it's how the expansions happen. So now that is for the different causes for different expansions. This is for the Lord. And now this understanding is real knowledge. But when the living entity is covered by Upadhi or designated body, he sees differences exactly as one sees differences in reflection of oneself on water, on oil, in a mirror. When someone is reflected on water, it appears to be moving. And so similarly, this understanding is real knowledge. But when a living entity is covered by upadhis or designations, exactly as one sees. So we are seeing differences because we are covered by upadhis. So this is the point Prabhupada is telling. I am seeing the world based on my own designations. Now that is simple to understand. How I see the world is, if I'm going in a metro train, and if I see some other sadhus, because I identify myself, okay, we are ISKCON sadhus, then immediately we start seeing them more. We immediately we recognize them that these are also sadhus or some other. Some software person is going, he sees some other software person, he identifies. Women will identify other women wearing good dress, bad dress, or whatever they are looking. So based on my designations or whatever I identify, I see others also. Exactly as one sees difference in reflex. So everything exists, but we don't see only. See, unless we see, we hear, we don't see also sometimes. If we did not hear about butterflies, now today I am talking about butterflies. So now when you are going through your garden, that time you start noticing butterflies. Otherwise, we went to garden many times, you don't see only. Now I say, okay, the trunk of the tree is so dark. Now I explained about the trunk. So when you are going now in the outside, then you start looking at the trunk of the trees, right? So we start, when we hear, we start looking. Similarly, when we have that upadhis, then we see the differences. Exactly, one sees differences, reflection of oneself in water, oil, and so when some, so based on so the person is same only. When something is reflected on water, it appears to be moving. Reflected on ice, it appears to be fixed, and reflected in oil, it appears hazy. The subject is same only, but under different conditions, it appears differently. So when the qualifying factor is taken away, the whole appear to be one. In other words, when one comes to the Paramahamsas or perfectional stage of life by practicing Bhakti Yoga, he sees only Krishna everywhere. So anyway, we are seeing through our designation. So when we keep a designation as I am servant of Krishna, and we develop love for Krishna, so that designation comes as I am servant of Krishna. Then what happens? Then everywhere we see, sarvatra ishtadeva spurti. स्थावर जंगम देखी ना देखी तारा स्फूर्ति सर्वत्र है इष्टदेव स्फूर्ति. So everywhere we are seeing Krishna because that is the designation we have created. I am servant of Krishna. So now I have a desire to enjoy. That's why I see differently this world. So when the qualifying factor is taken away, the whole appears to be one. In other words, when one comes to Paramahamsa stage, that is there only see. So in conclusion, due to different causes, the living entities visible in different forms as an animal, human being, demigod, tree, etc. Actually, every living entity is the marginal potency of the Lord. So Pandita Samadarshina, he sees exactly. Then when one's mind and senses are attracted to sense objects for enjoyment, the mind becomes agitated. As a result of continually thinking of sense objects, one's real consciousness almost becomes lost, like the water in a lake that is gradually sucked up by the big grass straws on its bank. So, what is happening? The consciousness is covered. So, Varanatmika Shakti means consciousness is covered. Prakshepatmika Shakti means it is reflected on something matter. So this is how the consciousness is covered. So two energies, Avaranatmika Shakti and Praksha. Avarana, it covers up. It makes us forget who we are. That is one level. But second level is you start identifying something which we are not. So this is the main problem. Covering and wrong identification. So as a result of constant thinking, our real consciousness almost become lost, like the water in a lake that is gradually sucked by the big grasses straws on its bank. In this verse, it is very nicely explained how our original Krishna consciousness becomes polluted and we gradually becomes almost completely forgetful of our relationship with the Supreme Lord. In the previous verse, it is recommended that we should always keep in touch with the devotional service of the Lord so that the blazing fire of devotional service can gradually burn into ashes material desires and we can become liberated from the repetition of birth and death. So these material desires, they are very strong. Puja la pratishtha is the most subtlest thing. Even we don't know that we have it. That's how it is subtle. We think I am good person, but it may not be true also. This is also how we can indirectly keep our staunch faith in the lotus feet of Supreme Lord. When the mind is allowed to think of sense gratification continuously, it becomes the cause of our material bondage. This is another way of understanding. Say when we are chanting, we are getting so much distractions, so many ideas, thoughts and all. It is because of our false ego only. That is the reason. So it's vice versa. Mind is agitated as a result of constant thinking of sense objects. Now, why constant thinking of sense object? Because we are having a wrong identity about ourselves. If I am thinking I am servant of Krishna and I have that identity, then our chanting will be very easy. Chanting is tough. People can chant 192 rounds on Ekadasi happily when they don't have any false ego. Of course, out of false ego also people chant to prove that I am very special. That is another problem. But they can peacefully, happily chant and need not tell anyone that I have chanted 192 rounds. That is also there. We can chant 192 rounds, but don't tell anyone. Then there is no false ego. So this is the reason why we are getting distracted in our chanting. So if our mind is simply filled with sense gratification, even though we want Krishna consciousness, by continuous practice, we cannot forget the subject matter of sense gratification. If one keeps up the sannyas order of life but is not able to control mind, he will think of objects of sense gratification, namely family, society, expensive house. Even though he goes to Himalayas or forest, his mind will continue thinking of sense objects. In this way, gradually one's intelligence will be affected. When intelligence is affected, one loses his original taste for Krishna consciousness. So the taste is proportionate to what? Intelligence. Buddhi yogam. Adami buddhi yogam tam. So that buddhi is actually help us to develop taste. But buddhi is lost when we are constantly thinking of sense gratification. That buddhi here means vijnanamaya stage. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Manomaya, Vijnanamaya stage. That is where we can survive. That is stage of Nishta, where we are clearly understanding the difference between matter and spirit. We can see that this is spiritual, this is material. Presently, we don't have that distinction. We generally mix up everything. We cannot know exact difference. That is the unfortunate situation. But like for us to we feel, oh, everything is good only, everything is fine only. No, there is a problem. So here, therefore, this uh, and yeah, so Prabhupada gives the example given here is very appropriate. If by if a big lake is covered all around by long kusha grasses, just like columns, the water dry up. Similarly, when the big columns of material desires increase, the clean water of consciousness is dried up. So more material desires, lesser the consciousness. So that is the reason people cannot understand things properly. They they are very intelligent, influential. They have so much power, well, everything they have. But what is lost? Consciousness is lost. They cannot become devotees. Kunti Maharani says, Janma Ishwarya Sutta Sribhir Yeda Manavadapumam Naivartam Abhidatum Vai Twama Kinchana Gochara. So all these things, big desires, big things, is making a person very dull in terms of consciousness. He is not aware. That causes so much pain for them actually. We may think, oh, they are so much wealthy, they are so rich, they must be really enjoying. But because consciousness is dull, if you are at the stage of Annamaya, Manomaya, Pranamaya, then there is always pain only in life. Only at the level of Vijnanamaya we can be free from. Not that we don't get problems, but we can transcend the pains. We don't escape the pain, but we can transcend. So like that. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has instructed that if from the very beginning we do not take care of unwanted grass in paddy fields, the fertilizing agents of water will be used by them and the paddy plant will dry up. The material desires for sense enjoyment is the cause of our fall down in this material world, and thus we suffer the threefold miseries and continuous birth and death, birth, death, old age, and disease. However, if we turn our desire towards transcendental loving service of the Lord, our desires become purified. We cannot kill desires. We have to purify them of different designations. So this is very nice instruction Prabhupada is giving. Yes, Kel Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Yeah, just now you were saying that we don't escape pain, but we can transcend it. So I just want to confirm that that means that your pains will come because this is the material world, but the way we will perceive those pains, will become different when we are. Yeah, the perception of the pain, we'll feel the pain, but we'll perceive it with a different perspective. Let's say, is that what we mean by transcending the pain?
Yeah, like say you are jogging and you are going for a morning jog and you are going a gym or doing yoga. So it causes some inconvenience, right? But you are voluntarily taking it.
Mm-hmm.
That why you are, because you know it will help me in future. So this is actually the point, that we take the pain knowing that it will help me in future. So when we get some problems in our life, we understand, okay, I am burning my bad karma, and that is good for me in future. So we understand. See, actually, what happens? This is a very important point. That if we know why, then no matter how much it is difficult, we can face it. If you don't know why, then if it is like a play written by some stupid fellow, foolish fellow, then we will be difficult to face even small situations also. If you know the reason why I have to go through it, no matter how much difficult it is, we will have the determination to move ahead because we know the reason behind. If you don't know the reason, then it becomes very discouraging. Why should I go through all these things? So that is the point. So here, devotees, they understand, okay, this is for my purification, Krishna wanted like that, okay, let it be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. It's like the difference between pain and suffering, almost like, when you don't know, when you don't see the value of the inconvenience, then it causes suffering. Otherwise, it's just a pain that you can endure.
Yeah, we get little bewildered, or we may at the little bewildered initially, and then later on we can continue. We will come out of that bewilderment, and
Mm.
we will try to tolerate that pain. Anyway, there is no option. Everybody has to go through. There is no option. Only thing is, if you know why, things become easy for us.
Mm-hmm. Or easier.
Easier. Yeah. So that's what I'm telling. If you are going for a morning jog or doing yoga, it is painful, but we know that I need it.
Mm.
Or if I, the example is given of a bitter medicine, like here also it is given. You are put some Ayurvedic treatment in the eyes. So that is burning, but you know that burning will help me to get cured and my eyes will become all right.
Mm-hmm.
And we can see
Yeah.
things as like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Thank you, Prabhu.
Right. Okay. Yes, bro.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. So,
Then,
this level of consciousness, Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, Vijnana, Anandamaya. Through this consciousness, can we map like this ki Annamaya at, dominated by mode of ignorance, Pranamaya dominated by could be passion, and Jnanamaya by goodness, and this Vijnanamaya, Anandamaya could be by Visuddha Tattva. Can we map it like that?
uh, we we can little bit map because there is ignorance. Yeah, when we are in Annamaya, the animal and the level of child and all, they are covered by greater amount. Actually, it is ignorance. Actually, all levels there is ignorance, bro.
Right.
Ignorance is there all levels, but actually you are adding little bit of Satguna is more at Vijnanamaya stage, that we can say. Yeah, ignorance. Yeah,
Right.
we can say that all three stages, all stages, all are there, but the influence of Rajoguna will be less for in a Vijnanamaya stage, and Satuguna will be more, and it will be more Tamaguna stage. Yeah, we can say it's not mapping, but it is like we can say that it is the effect is more and effect is less, like that. All effects are there.
Right. Thank you.
Because it is Mukulicha Chetana, Sankuchita Chetana, and Purna Vikasita Chetana. So we also compare like that, the growing of the consciousness. So
Thank you, bro. Thank you very much.
there is a question in chat box. Chitta means, yeah, Chitta means consciousness. So Chitta means consciousness. It is also memory. So many things. Chitta is information also. All these things can be understood. Okay, we didn't even do one verse. Because yesterday's was okay. We'll do one verse so that I can complete the. Yes, Gail Mata, you had some question.
Yeah. But if you want to complete one verse today, at least I could hold it. You
Yeah,
could.
we'll do
Well,
tomorrow. I'll complete my formality.
okay. Okay.
Not formality, but I'll just do it something so that. So when one deviates from his original consciousness, he loses the capacity to remember his previous position or recognize his present one. When remembrance is lost, all knowledge acquired is based on false foundation. When this occurs, learned scholars consider that the soul is lost. Wow, this is nice. Two verses are very nice connections. The living entity or the soul is ever existing and eternal. It cannot be lost, but learned scholars say that it is lost when actual knowledge is not working. That is the difference between animals and human beings. According to less intelligent philosophers, animals have no soul, but actually animals have soul. But due to animals' gross ignorance, however, it appears that they have lost their souls. Without the soul, a body cannot move. That is the difference between a living body and dead body. When the soul is out of body, the body is also dead. The soul is said to be lost when there is no proper knowledge exhibited. Our original consciousness is Krishna consciousness because we are part and parcel of Krishna. When this consciousness is misguided and one is put into the material atmosphere, which pollutes the original consciousness, one thinks that he is a product of material elements. Thus, one loses his real remembrance and his position as part and parcel of Supreme Lord, just as a man who sleeps forget himself in this way. When the activities of proper consciousness are checked, all the activities of the lost soul are performed on false basis. At the present moment, human civilization is acting on a false platform of bodily identification. Therefore, it can be said that the people of present age have lost their souls, and in this respect, they are no better than animals. Atmaha, Ishopanishad. Okay, thank you all.